Good afternoon, students. My name is Silvia Macias, and I'm one of the, one of the instructors here at CBC. I'm also a school counselor. That's probably why I was introducing myself as a school counselor. However, today I am here to talk with you about family engagement and the curriculum, as well as the technology and classroom usage and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. I hope you are all doing good. I know we're all tired and wanting to get started with summer, right? And this summer's probably going to look a little bit different than what we're actually used to. So, all right, curriculum development class 8. What is family engagement and why is that important? So I have a video here. However, I'm having technical problems and I'm not able to play that. I am going to attach it on the discussion panel on Canvas. So feel free, I have this video and another one. So stay tuned after this video so that I'm going to assign an assignment and have you watch these and maybe write a reflection paper or something like that. So stay tuned. So when we look at this, we're looking at connect, right? We're looking at parent, teacher, and the student. The center of attention is always the student. So we're all in for the student, right? So it is important to have collaboration between parent, teacher, and student. And I will discuss this further. So parent involvement and curriculum. Why is it important to have parent involvement? Do you believe that's important? If so, why? What has been your experience? If you're a teacher, how do you develop rapport with your teachers? How do you develop rapport with the families you're working with? Okay, in order to help a child, you must look at a child as a whole child. What does that mean? That means that we're looking at the child as everything that comes with him per se. So here in the circle, we find the child, then we look at the family, school, and friends. So when you're looking at parents and family, it can look different for each student, it could look different for many students. Not everybody has the biological parents. Some we're talking about some grandparents who took custody of the child. We're also looking at same-sex couple. We're looking at foster parents. I mean, you name it. So it's very important to build rapport with them and knowing what is important to that child. School. We started the school year fine as always, but in March everything took a turn, right? So now school looks very different. It was that a child came into school, we met all their basic needs, we met their basic needs. They talked to their parents. We talked to their parents, excuse me. We collaborated with them. Students came in, got their breakfast, got their lunch ready. And if they needed food, I mean, we have programs to assist and so on. But after March, things changed. And so now parents who never thought they were gonna be homeschooling, now they're actually homeschooling, and it's frustrating because they didn't sign up for it. So anyway, I know in my case I'm homeschooling too, and I didn't sign up to be a teacher, so some things are difficult, and we'll get more into that as we go along. So also support systems. What is important to the child? What are his support systems? It depends on the age, developmentally where they're at. Sometimes friendships are more important than family to them. They believe that a friendship is everything to them, and they trust them versus the parents. So looking at support systems, that depends a lot also on the culture. Me being Mexican American, my culture is the father, the men have their place, and I know to some they feel like maybe it's machismo, but it's not. That's my culture. It's the father, the mother, and when we're in public, the father speaks and so on. And to some, it may be a lack of respect, or they may feel that the woman's oppressed, what have you, but it's natural for us. I'm in my 40s and I still respect my father and his opinion when I go into his home, you know? And so being aware of the culture and what's normal for them is super important. And please take that into consideration when you're building rapport with your families. Importance of parent involvement in early education. Now, it's never too late to build relationships with a child or to mentor a child. However, studies do show that it's important to build a relationship and you make an impact when you catch them at an early age. For example, toddlers, preschools, at that age, they are learning. They're like a little sponge. They're absorbing all the information. So this is a very important stage phase in their life, and so on. So here we have collaboration. Why is it important for parents to be involved at such an early age? We believe that if parents gain new knowledge, they are able to partake of family functions at school. And it's important for parents to know what their kids are doing in school, whether it's daycare setting, whether it's a preschool, whether it's kindergarten. It is important for parents to gain new knowledge and practice at home. Another reason is to reassure that parents, it's to reassure parents that whenever they drop off their children, whether it's in your home, whether it's at daycare, whether it's at preschool, parents need to be reassured that we love their kids and that we're there for them and that we're all about their child and that their child is safe in our hands, okay? Informed communication between child care schools and parents. It's important to share that information between both parties involved. And also just the whole goal is to increase connections. How does it benefit my child? So why does it benefit your child and how does it benefit for your child? That the fact that both parties involved are actually benefiting the student. So in the middle, we see a very happy student. And we believe that when you are teaching a child at home, they look for new opportunities. For example, if you're the teacher, you are the educator, and you're teaching them the ABC song or the Days of the Week song, they go home and whether it's a road trip or what have you, and they're in the car, guess what they're going to be singing? They're going to be singing Days of the Week. They are going to be singing the alphabet song or whatever movement, whatever dance, whatever chant you are teaching, they practice at home. And that's why it's super important to just offer them new opportunities so that they can explore and adapt, and they are able to adapt. They are able to practice at home, okay? Now, we know that whenever teachers are collaborating with parents, there's also an increase in social emotional awareness. They know that if Susie had a bad day at school, they know that teacher's probably going to call mom and say, hey, here's what's happening. Is she tired? Did anything happen at home? And so child knows that there is that constant communication and collaboration. So child knows that they need to behave. Also, if let's say Susie had a wonderful day and she was very helpful and went out of her way and she's practicing how to use her social skills and so on, it's also important for teachers to call and say, hey, guess what? And make a big deal over the fact that Susie was going out of her way to practice her social skills. So the more the child sees and hears that there is that constant collaboration, whether it's on curriculum, whether it's on social skills, we see an increase in social emotional awareness. Also, it's important for students to know that we're all in. We're all in for that student, and that if Susie is sick and she's going through some medical condition or what have you, or parents separated, or there's an issue in Susie's home life, they know that we are all in for them and that we are collaborating to make sure that she is happy and successful and that we love her or love him. Also, another benefit for your child, for the child, is to know that we are offering opportunities for the families, and that could look different for many families. For different families, it depends on each case and so on. So, for example, if Susie comes home to school every day and she says that parents are fighting every night and she didn't get enough sleep, or daddy drinks a lot, I don't know, just random examples, we as educators are able to collaborate with them and offer different opportunities for them and offer different programs for them. All this, at the end of the day, we know that we are doing everything we can as educators, as daycare providers, to ensure that our students are thriving and that we are doing everything in our power to make sure that students are successful. Now, there's always different exceptions. We know that, right? We know that there's always that one family we're not able to reach. We know that there's high needs. We know that there's special needs and so on. And that's a whole different conversation. But one thing I do want you to keep in mind is that we still should try. We still try to collaborate. We still try to adapt curriculum at their level. We still use the resources we have within our building, within our resources, to make sure we reach out to them. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, obviously we're not able to have a discussion about this, but if you have any questions after this PowerPoint presentation, please feel free to discuss this with your instructor. Feel free to send out a discussion question or an inbox or something and get some clarification. How does it benefit the family? Now, this is one of my favorite things to do as a counselor. One of my privilege, I am very privileged and honored to work very closely, with our families. And how does it benefit the family to have constant collaboration with providers? They have access to home visits. Now, to some, that may be a scary thing to some families because they always look at educators as, what if they judge me? What if this? What if that? But the beautiful thing is, once you've established a rapport or a close working relationship with the families, a lot of the times they know and they welcome you into the home. The purpose of home visits is to just ensure that everything's going well and so on. Excuse me. Another thing is offering family programs, workshops, different things. I used to be a home visitor for a foster care agency. Excuse me. And my job was to make sure that the foster students that I had in my caseload had everything that they needed from the schools. And it was really interesting to sit with them in that team of educators and home providers and so on. And they were enriched with all this information, all these programs that they were able to offer the family. Now, our approach is very, very tactful. As professionals, we need to be very kind and respectful of how we approach the situation, as some families could be very, it's a touchy subject. Some families could be in denial, perhaps, of what services they need. Excuse me. Some of the services that they might be needing is probably parenting classes. A lot of the times it's therapy, counseling, drug and alcohol addictions, therapy and so on. But, even being that bridge between a family and a medical provider if a child is having high needs or medical problems. Excuse me. Another thing that the family can benefit from is being a classroom volunteer. Our teachers are always needing help, and a teacher feels very comfortable to have a parent visit the classroom, especially if they have built a relationship, especially if they are involved in if they are involved with the school and so on. So another one is field trips. Excuse me, I have a little tickle in my throat. Excuse me, field trips. Field trips are a lot of fun. I used to go to field trips. I have 3 daughters. One's in college now. the other one's a high schooler, and my little one who will be in middle school. But it was always a lot of fun to volunteer, to go to field trips and so on. And when you have built a relationship with your parents, it's very easy to invite those parents that are all in and that have that flexibility to be able to join field trips. Okay, moving on. Now, how can you help your child? Excuse me, how can you help your child? Things look very different again, you know, once again, they look very different with Corona, with COVID-19, with everything that's happening in our country and in others. But one of the things that's super important to our children is providing schedules for them. Now, no, you're not an expert. You're probably, parents don't know how to be an expert the way our teachers, they don't know how to be a teacher. You know, some of us, I'm a counselor, I work at a school, but I'm not a teacher, so I have a hard time. So I'm educating your parents on schedules. What do schedules look like? I have a link up there that I would like for you to view another time. I'm going to post this on Canvas, and you can go ahead and look at it and study it and use it for your purposes. But schedules, what does the day look like? What time does the day start? Now, kids love this. At first, kids can kick and shout and throw a tantrum because they don't want to follow a schedule, but it's super important for students to know what is expected of them. What time are they doing math right now? What time are they going to do science? Do they have PE? Are they going to go outside and explore? What time are they going to eat? I know in schools, especially with our high need students, a schedule was very important, and that can look different. A lot of our students had a picture schedule. Children with autism, children with ADHD, they like routines and they like schedules. If their day looked different and without them being notified that that day was going to look different, it can throw them off. So always have that in the back of your mind, because not all kids are the same, as we know. But be very considerate and mindful of students with high needs and different types of needs. So schedules, routines. When do you go outside and go for a walk? What does a student enjoy doing religiously? Do they, what is normal for them? So always be considerate of routines and so on. Social emotional support, that is the big one, especially when they're not able to, when parents are not able to teach the students what a teacher what a teacher is able to teach them. They feel frustrated, parents feel frustrated as well, but just being that social emotional support to them means a lot. Just validating their feelings. I know this is different for you. I know that this is difficult, but here's how we're going to do this. Whether it's chunking the assignment, you do 1 through 4, 1 through 5 right now, and then give them a break. Later, you do 5 through 10. Or right now, you do math. Later, you can do science, whatever. But providing that social emotional support for a student is very important. Teaching them how to say, I'm upset, I feel frustrated, instead of you get me upset, I'm mad at you. They need to be able to own their feelings and say, I feel like this about the situation. Next. So now we're going to change gears a little bit. Homeschooling and the use of technology. Now, there's a lot of difference of opinion on that. We have people that believe technology is everything. We have people that believe that technology, they're anti-technology or whatever. You know, I think I'm right in the middle. As you can tell, that's not my forte. That's not my strong suit or anything like that. I'm more of a social person. And I think after COVID hit, I had to become and overcome my fear, because technology scares me. I don't know how to use technology. I know basics. So I've had to overcome my fear of making mistakes and so on. Like today, I recorded this about 2 times because I forgot to share the screen, and just funny things. You know, my children were laughing at me, but this is my 3rd time recording it. So there are pros and cons about technology. Now, what is technology? It can be the use of computers, phones, tablets, educational devices, you name it. Um, Now that COVID hit, if it wasn't for technology, for Zoom, for Skype, for all these programs, a lot of us would not be able to do our job. We honestly wouldn't be able to meet with our colleagues, with our bosses, with our students. Actually, some of us are connecting through Zoom with some of our students. So, excuse me. So, so now, guess what? I'm pro technology. So, let's go on to the next slide. So World Health Organization recommendations. So we look at the age and we also look at the daily screen time. These are recommendations based on who. And so we know that for infants less than 1, there is no screen time, okay? Ages 1 through 2, not recommended. And ages 2 to 4, less than an hour. Now I'm gonna share something with you. Once upon a time, I had my little one is now 11. When she was about, I want to say about 2 or 3, my husband had a new shift at work, and he was working graveyard, and he was off in the mornings. And in the mornings, I was getting ready to go to work, and my other 2 were getting ready to go to school. So my husband decided that we didn't need a babysitter because he was going to stay up and babysit our daughter, our little one. Well, every time I would come home for lunch, I realized that Mija was on my husband's phone watching cartoons. At first I thought, well, my husband was napping right next to him, but he was, you know, when I closed one open. The second day I went, I realized that had happened again. And I realized that although my husband wanted to bond with Mija and we needed to save money, you know, and so on, so we were, instead of paying babysitter, we thought that my husband could handle it. I realized that was not the best thing to do, because what was happening was that my child was spending a lot of time on watching cartoons, watching, you know, obviously cartoons, but she spent a lot of time face to face with the phone. And so, and also that became a babysitter. And I know that, long story short, it didn't last long. My mom babysat. So I know that sometimes that is a big one. We give our children, our toddlers, especially our toddlers, we give them phone and we let them communicate. We let them just play with their phones. We put cartoons on because we're busy and so on. We have to be very mindful of that. And also, we just have to be mindful that can have some long-term effects. So, okay, so moving on. Passive versus active screen time. Now, at the schools, it's important all students have a laptop. All students have access to technology. And quite honestly, we have wonderful programs that are helping our children, our students learn. We have a lot of good programs, but that does not replace the social interaction that every student needs to have, or that face-to-face contact with the teacher. So again, there's pros and cons to technology in the classroom, technology in the home. And so let's talk about passive screen time. Okay, so passive screen time involves absorbing information from a screen with little participation, such as watching videos, scrolling through pictures, and repetitive games. So when you hear passive screen time, what comes to your mind? Be honest. So I get a mental picture of me whenever I'm tired and I'm just on Facebook scrolling through pictures, or just mindless, just looking at pictures and other people's posts and so on. There's not much of body movement. There's not much of thinking. It's just to pass time, okay? Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but everything in moderation. So when we look at active screen time, it involves cognitive engagement with the device, including creating videos. So for example, what I'm doing right now is this active screen time. I'm creating a video, I am engaging, and you will be engaging too when you watch this video. So Video calls, educational games from a reputable source. So this is what we were talking about at school. They have technology, they have program software actually that they use, and it's just phenomenal. So also dancing or exercise videos, we have Go Noodle. And I love Go Noodle. I don't know if you have or have heard of Go Noodle, you guys, but you have to check it out. Go Noodle and then create an account. And that's super exciting. Teachers use that a lot whenever they're not able to go outside. Kids are not able to go outside because of the weather. Also, you can use that in your daycare, and it just gets the kids up and moving. You can choose yoga, you can choose Zumba, you can choose different video exercises that are helpful. Now, question. When you look at this little clip of a little boy, this little video, not video, picture, excuse me, what's the first thing you think about? Is it passive or active screen time? And how do you know? I thought that it was passive. I thought at first that he was just playing games, but then I'm thinking, whoa, what if it's an educational game with a reputable source? So what am I trying to say? Today, I want you to take a look at balance, passive versus active. Balance, what, how much are you spending on the screen or social media or any technology, any technical device, and also your students. So let's go on. Now we're going to talk about preventing screen addiction. Yeah, so that's a big word, addiction. It's so, but it's a big thing nowadays. Before, when I was born in the 70s, we didn't have this problem. And I'm sure anybody who's older than me didn't have that problem either, because a lot of our time was spent outside, and I loved it. We knew it was time to go home when it was getting dark outside. So, and I know it sounds cliche, but that was the honest truth. So let's talk about this. Unsuccessful control. Is it hard for the child to stop using screen time? Now, please keep in mind that a lot of the times, this is why it's important to have that strong collaboration with parents and education and families and so on, because sometimes it's difficult for a teacher to teach a subject on a laptop or a computer device because they have a hard time. Students may be having a hard time letting go when it's time to transition into something different, because at home they may be able to use their device for long periods of time. So sometimes that's a fine struggle. And so be aware of these signs, so that when you start collaborating with your families next school year, you're able to recognize these symptoms and have meaningful conversations with your families. Okay, so loss of interest. Screen media is the only thing that seems to motivate the student. Preoccupation, screen media is all my children thinks about. So I have, my child thinks about. So I have a little story. As a counselor, I get to work very closely with parents, and I get to work very closely with teachers and with the students. So I feel that I have the best job because I have the best of all worlds. So a teacher got a hold of me and said, Miss E.S., I need you to look into the situation. I don't know if the student is faking it, or if he's actually not understanding reality versus fantasy. So at first, student was acting out, playing out a role. So at first it was cute, it was, and so on. But then as teacher got to know the student, she realized that maybe he wasn't playing around. He wasn't acting this role. He was actually believing that he was this monster, what have you. When I got to investigating and talking to the student and the family more, mom said that the student was spending a lot of time on devices. So he was spending a lot of time on social media. He was spending a lot of time on YouTube searching things. He was spending a lot of time on that. I don't know what it's called. They wear the thingies. I don't have any sons, so I really don't know, but and they can actually talk to another person, even in another country, and it's a shooting game. So anyway, so he was believing that he was that. And so he was totally confused about reality and so on. Long story short, we did have to make a referral to see a mental health professional due to that. And one of the conversations that I told mom was that she needed to monitor his screen time because teachers were having a very difficult time with the student in the classroom because, number one, he was either falling asleep, because when parents would fall asleep, the student would actually go into the bedroom, get the phone, the cell phone, and get on there. Or he would get, the TV was in the room, and he would get on there and start playing that game all the way to 3, 4 in the morning. So that's why student was falling asleep in the classroom. Teacher was not able to motivate him at all because he was extremely tired. He had bags under his eyes, dark circles under his eyes, and so on. So we talked to mom about, we connected her with resources. We talked about the difference between passive and active technology and screen time. So mom had to break out of a lot of habits. She was a busy mom, had to break out of a lot of habits. And child ended up going to a therapist and helping him how to be healthy and how to connect with other students, because the other students didn't want him around because he was kind of different. So anyway, end of that story. But these are real things, you guys. Let's talk about psychosocial consequences. My child's screen media use interferes with daily activities. Does he rather stay seated on the phone, or does he rather go outside? If he has to go to the grocery store, does he get upset because he has to join real life, you know? Also serious problems due to use. My child's screen media use causes problems for the family. Does he throw a tantrum? Is the family suffering because of his addiction towards that? Withdrawal. Does the child seem frustrated when she cannot use screen media? Tolerance, the amount of time that the child uses screen media, does it keep increasing? Because what happens is a lot of times mom maybe will say 15 minutes and that's it. And mom gets busy, dad gets busy, whatever. And before you know it, child's at 30 minutes, but also he knows that mom said 15 minutes. Does he lie about it just so he can get screen time? And so on. Is he sneaky about it? Also, when my child has a bad day, screen media seems to be the only thing that helps him or her feel better. Now, that's a scary one, you guys, because children have got to be in touch with their feelings. If they're having a bad day, if they are either upset, sad, or what have you, they have to be able to verbalize that. They have to be able to articulate their thoughts, feelings, and share them out, whether it's by saying it, whether it's by drawing it, but they have to find a way to soothe the way they feel versus getting busy with screen time. So I hope that makes sense to you. So today we talked about family involvement with curriculum. Why is it important that the family's involved? We talked about many reasons why, but we also talked about the more we are involved with families, the more there's that collaboration between families, between our educators, childcare providers, the more the child is going to succeed. We know that when dad is collaborating or mom's collaborating with teacher, the child's face just beams with happiness, right? Because they love, two important people in their lives are actually talking about the student, about them, and they feel super happy. So also be able to connect, parents, the ability to connect with teachers about curriculum, being able to connect and saying, teacher, I don't know how to do this, or saying, teacher, he's bored, give me more homework. Also the importance of technology, super important. There's a fine dance, a fine balance between just being on there to, the way we would say is pasar el tiempo, just I don't know how to say pasar el tiempo, or knowing that fine balance. Whenever I've been a couch potato, I need to get up and do something. So there is nothing more beautiful than having professional conversations, establish bonds, professional bonds, working relationships with people involved. Because at the end of the day, you guys, children are the next advocate. They are the next generation that are going to be the teachers. So what we do right now, we are instilling in them a future. We're instilling in them beauty in them. We're instilling coping skills. We're instilling in them academic success. We're teaching them how to navigate technology, how to navigate friendships and establish bonds. So that is it for today, I think. Let me check the next slide. Yeah, that's all for today. I wish you a very great weekend. Today is Thursday, but the weekend's like right around the corner. I want you to look at this picture. And although we cannot, we're confined a lot of the times due to everything that's happening in this world, just be mindful, just think you're out on the beach and take a moment at a time. You guys, 2 more weeks and we are done. So have a great weekend, have a great afternoon, and I will see you.